Aloha, everybody, and welcome to another episode in season 2 of the Warrior Women in the World of Entrepreneurship podcast. I'm your host, Kolo, and I'm here to bring you another incredible warrior woman guest that's going to share her experience, knowledge, and just expertise with owning her own business and being able to make it thrive and not just survive, but being able to make it successful. And there's going to be entrepreneurs in here, just as usual, throughout that have different levels of experience and time within their business. So stay tuned and listen up for some great advice, and just know that there's other people out there just like yourself. Guys, also don't forget to check out Anchor Fitness if you have your own gym, if you're working with clients, if you just want it for yourself to work out. It's basically a portable cable machine, and it's incredibly well developed. So please check them out, Anchor Fitness. Use our code and check out TASKOFIT11, so TASKOFIT11 when you check out, and you'll get a discount. So enjoy the show, guys, and let us know that you like the show. You can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can just leave us a comment. If you know anyone as well that you'd like to hear on here, please make sure to reach out to them or give us their information, and we'll reach out. Enjoy the show. Aloha, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Warrior Women in the World of Entrepreneurship podcast. So we are in our season 2, which is super exciting, and we have another amazing warrior woman guest here today, Justina Victoria. So Justina Victoria is the founder of Sexual Mastery New York City, or NYC. Justina is a certified sex, love, and relationship coach through the Tantric Institute of Integrated Sexuality, trained by Layla Martin, world-renowned sex coach, and she also studied under Marisa Peer, who was voted Britain's best therapist. So Justina's experience includes sexual confidence, pleasuring your partner with ease, performance anxiety and penis size insecurity, dependence on porn, healthy relationships, finding purpose, healing after heartbreak or divorce, and deepening love and intimacy. And all of those things definitely have to or relate to that. So Justina, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on today. I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. So, I know just from like reviewing your work and everything, and I'm gonna ask you just kind of how you got started, but you realized you needed to find your own solutions with some, I don't want to call them issues that you were dealing with, but some things that you wanted to figure out with your own, I don't know if you want to say like,
Sex life?
yeah, sex life,
Yeah.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
know that led you into like your deep dive into education on that, but I wanted to know because it looked like you are a male sex therapist. So it looks like you went into that side of things, which I guess in my own brain I would have thought like, oh, well, it was her experience, so I would have thought you would have went more on the female or male route, and then instead you went to the male, which is totally fine, like, and also really awesome. But I guess my question is, what made you want to choose that route specifically?
Well, I've always been drawn to the masculine. I've always had a stronger relationship, I would say, to the masculine than to the feminine.
Yeah.
And in fact, I pretty much just I really grew up with a lot of programming around what femininity is, as far as like it being a toxic thing.
Yeah.
So like every woman in my family, I grew up very like New York Italian. All the women in my family are very like they're the men essentially,
Yeah.
So it's like not only are they the men, but they also kind of look down on men, and they look down on women, which is very weird because it's just like then what do we have left
Who do you
here?
look up to? Yeah. What do you got?
We got nothing left, right?
We have God.
Except for
That's it.
ourselves.
Yeah.
It's hyper independence, right? It's hyper
Yep.
independence, which is really unhealthy. And but I was kind of weirdly trained to like be hyper independent in my masculine, but also distrust completely feminine energy.
Yeah.
And sort of weirdly idolize the masculine, but also not feel like you should depend on it at all because it's totally unreliable and stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really interesting. So I've always kind of had more of an affinity in towards the masculine versus versus the feminine. So I always had like guy friends and,
Yep.
and that kind of thing. So when I went to school, it was completely female based. It
Yeah.
was all about femininity and feminism and female sexual empowerment. I mean, so you could imagine what I might have gone through having to go
Yeah.
to school with 150 other women. It's like I'm gonna tear my skin off my body.
Yep.
Um, but it was amazing because what it did was it allowed me to see how much I had around the feminine and how threatening I felt other women were. I mean, the narratives were so toxic. It was like women want to take everything you have, most especially your partner. They want to stab you in the back. They want you like they want to take everything you've got. Like this is a complete competition 24/7
Yeah.
with women. And so you throw me in an environment where there's 150 other women and you're gonna have to kind of like sink or swim, right? It was interesting because I had to really go like toe to toe with some of those very strong narratives, and
Yeah.
over time, not only was I able to like start to connect more deeply with women, but to myself, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the part of me that I'm severed from, right? I'm disconnected from my own femininity. So it was a really interesting thing, and I did work with women originally,
Hmm.
but the problem is that the male suicide rate is 4 times higher than females,
Yeah.
and there are no resources for men,
Right.
and nobody really gives a shit about men,
Mm.
overall. Especially if you're a white man, forget it. Like you're the devil.
Yeah.
So I kind of just set out in the beginning. I first started with like grief. I was doing grief coaching, and then I switched to working with couples, and then I just decided I'm only going to work with men.
Hmm.
And I have worked with women here and there. I have like a lot of masculine women who will come to me and be like, "Help!" Right? And I will work with them, but typically my business is it's all pointed at men and the women that they love. So I
Yeah.
do work with couples still, but yeah, it's like my platform is really about providing a resource for men in an area where all of their worth and value is programmed to come from,
Yeah.
and like disentangling that shit, and then also just helping them to truly step into their pure masculine energy, to
Yeah.
feel good about themselves and to become like the leaders that we need in the world, and to bring the suicide rate down because it's like astronomical.
Yeah. I mean, it's so scary too. And I only ask because, like I said, reading it, I was like, oh man, I thought you would have went the other way, but we are very similar because, again, like my first sport was I was the only girl on the t-ball team when I was younger, and the roller hockey team and everything. And only later in life did I start have more a plethora of like girlfriends. So but the plethora of girlfriends that I have are also like warrior women. You know what I mean? Like in a
Mm.
sense of like not over not that there's anything wrong with feminism. There's different levels of it, right? But it's like not like overly like shoving it in your face. There's a way to honor it rather than just kind of I don't know. I've mentioned this before too. So anyway, going back to you back to you. Back to you, Justina. What I'd like to go over is so you learned all this and then you yourself got a little bit more insight into what was going on with your own sex life. So what made you want to create a whole business out of it, especially in New York City? Running your own business in New York City is, I don't like to say hard, it's definitely a challenge. So, yeah, what made you want to do that?
So by the time I created this business, I had already owned three,
Okay.
I think.
Can you tell us a little bit about those first? Just because, like, I like for people to understand, like, how you got to where you are and, like, what were those steps? Because so many times we're just like, I can't do it. Look, she's already got 3 businesses under. She's got that experience. Yeah, but, like, she had to start somewhere to get somewhere. So,
Yeah.
if
So
you
by
don't
the
mind.
time I got to this career, it was very easy. It was like a piece of cake, especially because it's not brick and mortar. Well, technically it's brick and mortar because I do have an office, but like I work remotely most of the time,
Yeah.
right? But originally, so my plan was I wanted to go to school to be a doctor.
Okay.
I had no money to do that, right? So I was like, okay. And I was always kind of like scheming ways to like get what I wanted in
Yeah.
life, right? So I do not come from a family of, my dad's technically an entrepreneur. Both my parents were cops.
Okay.
My brother is now a cop. But my dad kind of tried on and off to get like his business off the ground, and it failed a couple of times. And now he has done well and has had it for probably close to a decade at this point.
Gotcha.
But growing up, I didn't have any resources. There was nobody that could be like, here's how you open a business and here's what you need. And I remember like that was my goal, ultimate goal, because I absolutely hated working for people. It was
Yeah.
so funny. It was like I I realized one day that every job I ever applied for, I got. Like people like genuinely like me up front,
Yeah.
but then I work for them and they're like, do this. And I'm like, but I could do it like that and it would be so much better. They're
Yeah.
like, no, I don't want you to do it that way. And I'm like, but I don't want it to do it the way you're telling me, because I was
Right.
always so like just headstrong and independent. And I always felt like I could do things in a better, more efficient way.
Right.
And so I got fired from every job I've ever had.
You're like, yep.
So it's like they don't like that, right? And
Yeah.
I'm just too like headstrong, I guess. So growing up, my whole idea was like I'm going to be a doctor, but how am I going to pay for it, right?
Right.
So I decided I was going to go to school for hair. So I went to school. I was like, get like a vocational, right?
Okay.
And then that'll be my stepping stone. I'll have like a little career that will make like good money, and then I can use that to put myself through school.
Why hair? Just that was just something that you were interested in doing or
Yeah,
something that you were
listen,
good
I
at.
just thought it would be cool. Yeah,
Okay.
out of everything that was like available in as something that you could be trained in quickly,
Okay.
I was like, this is fun. And I always kind of was messing with my hair and other people's hair and stuff. So,
Got it. Go ahead.
yeah, so I jumped into that. And let's see, a few years in, I start, you have to like, there's a lot of steps to it, right? Because it's like, you can't just go to school and then make money
Right.
doing hair. Like you
Yep.
have to be good at it, right? So
Yep.
it's like I trained under a lot of like famous stylists and different things like that. And you have to do that whole thing where you're just like taking shit and people treat you like crap and
Right.
you're just trying to like absorb everything you can. And I waitressed and I did all that shit in the meantime. And then once I got a good understanding of like what the celebrity stylists were doing, making to make their customers happy and come back, then that's when I just kind of just went up the chain. I started at like a really shitty salon, like a mall salon, right?
Yeah.
And then I moved from that to like a better mall salon. And that's when things started picking up for me because people would come in, and because I trained with all of these really
The best of the best.
talented stylists, yeah, it was like they were coming to this little like rinky-dink place, and I'm giving them stuff that they didn't know was available to them at a really
Yeah.
great price, right? Then within, I would say maybe a year or two, I moved from a commission to being a booth renter. So now I'm technically a business owner,
Hmm.
right? I'm a 1099 employee contractor, right? So now I'm paying rent like I moved to another salon where I'm renting a chair and I'm making 100% of my profit
Yeah.
minus the rent that I need for the chair, right? So now my income has gone up again. I stayed there for probably but the whole goal over these years was like, I'm going to own my own salon because, if I'm going to go to school, like, and how am I going to work and go to school? Like,
Right.
if I have a business, other people are making me money.
Okay.
Then I can work less hours, right? So the whole plan was like, get a salon open.
So that you could be a
So
doctor or go to school to be a doctor.
I can
That's
go to
still the
school. Yep, that was the goal still. So I'm booth renting, right? And it was kind of funny because over the years, like you think that, and I was so young at the time. I mean, I was in
How old
my
were you?
early 20s.
Okay.
Like I opened my first place at 25. So
Wow.
this was like all the years leading up to that. So I'm like, I think I went to school for hair at 17, something like that. So anyway, you think like owning a business is like you have to have like a business plan, and you're like, how do you make that? That's
Yeah.
like Wall Street people do that. I don't know how to do that. And it's like all these numbers and weird shit on there. And you gotta make like a graph and go to the bank and be like, and the bank is like, who are you? I'm not giving you anything.
Right.
So like that's literally what my vision of business owning was at the time. But it was really cool because I had a falling out with the owner that I was renting under.
Hmm.
And she was just a really chaotic kind of person. And it just got to a point where I was making so much money on my own, like as a booth renter. And I had saved up. So I saved, I think about, I want to say $10,000 at this point.
Between what
And
time frame? Like, how long did you have the booth, and how long were you able to save that?
probably a year, I would
Okay,
say. I was
gotcha.
making good money there. And
Yeah.
I had really low bills at that time. So I yeah, I had about 10,000 in cash.
Okay.
And we had this falling out and I was like essentially fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not working for anyone anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like I told all my clients like give me a couple weeks. I'm going to open my own place. And in 3 weeks I opened my first salon. And
Where was that?
it was in Florida.
Okay.
I found a space that was 600 square feet. I renovated it literally in 3 weeks, bought all the shit, and I put 3 chairs in there, one wash station, 3 chairs, tiny little back room, tiny little weight room. I mean, it was like literally 600 square feet, so it was tiny, right?
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Like I got it done in 3 weeks, figured it out, opened the doors, and I used my money that I had saved, so I didn't need to go to the bank. I didn't need to do anything. And yeah, and then that was it. And within a year of that was so successful. I moved, same plaza, moved to the end of the plaza, took up 2 bays, so it doubled in size, 1,200 square feet. And then I had 5 chairs and 2 wash stations, an actual back room, an actual waiting room, and had a skincare room.
Wow.
And I opened that in 2012. This was 10 years ago.
Okay.
And yeah, and so I worked there for a few years and I started going back to school. But then I was just like, man, I'm so successful and why the hell do I want to be $1 million in debt?
Yeah.
And then I got to deal with all this red tape.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just in medical school and like, is this really what I want to do? So I had kind of a little like identity crisis, because like I had done all this. This is like what, I don't know, 12 years of work
Yeah.
to go back to school. And I'm just like, maybe I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
And then I woke up out of a dead sleep one morning and I was just like, I'm going to be a coach. And it was so weird because like at this time, coaching was not a thing. This was like probably 2014. 2014. And that was not like a thing then. It's exploded now. But then it was like, I didn't know a coach. I never got coaching. I had no idea. I just woke up with this idea and I was just like, I'm going to help people like with their minds. And at first it was kind of like a business thing. Like maybe I'll help people like live their dreams, like figure out what they really want to do with their life and like do it, because it seemed at the time like I was the only person doing this that I know.
Right.
You know, it was like whatever I wanted to do, I just did it. And everybody was just like, how do you do that? And I'm like, you just do it. You know,
That's
like,
what I learned. Like, don't overthink. Just start. Like, just.
do
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
I'm
Like you
definitely a
just
queen of
figure it out.
overthinking. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. You just figure it out. Exactly. So, and it's only when you make that commitment, and like I put everything on the line essentially to open that salon. It was like all my money. I had 3 weeks, otherwise I'd lose my clients, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like when you do that, you just kind of have to just do it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I just decided, all right, I'm going to be a coach, and I don't even know what that means. And at the time, I was married, and we were having like really big problems in our sex life. Like I just did not have any sexual desire at all. And I'm like, I was like, I don't even know. I kept kind of questioning, like maybe there's something wrong with me, because I'm still in my 20s. You know, it's like late 20s now, but I'm like, maybe there's something wrong with my hormones. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know. This is so weird. But it was like I found my husband attractive. I was in love with him. So I'm like, I should want to have
What's going
sex.
on? Yeah.
So again, at the time, now there's an explosion of like information about sexuality. But at the
Yeah.
time there wasn't a lot of podcasts, there wasn't a lot of content or anything like that. But Layla Martin who was my teacher, she had a YouTube channel that I was watching. Still didn't really like answer the questions, but I was just doing so much research to try to figure out what was going on. I was following her, and then I got an email that she was opening her school for the first time.
Hmm. When was that?
Tantric Institute of Integrated Sexuality in California.
Okay.
And I saw this syllabus, and I was just like, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. Like, it was so aligned. So stayed working at the salon, went to school for that. It was extremely intense. In my opinion, it was a 1-year program. It could have been split easily into 4 years. I mean, we had school pretty much every single day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like schooling, because you're deconditioning your own sexuality at the same time that you're learning how to work with clients. So you're having like a full-blown meltdown every single day because you're having to do this extreme deep dive into your own sexuality and your own life and your own heart, while also learning how to hold space, because we would have to go way further than we take our clients, right?
Yeah.
So it was amazing. It was a fascinating time period. Got my certification at the end of that, and then fast forward. I quit the salon in 2018, completely quit. I started this business in 2017, but I completely.
Quick question. So the one that you had quit was your own, though? That was like your own salon that you had, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did you
I retired from doing hair. I absolutely hated it. Like, by the time I got to this place, because it was always a means to an end. It wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. So I started, after 14 years, of doing hair, I was starting to really resent it, because everybody was like, and it's like, it sounds like something stupid to complain about, but everybody was like, you're so good, please never leave, please do my hair forever. And I'm like, this is not what I'm here to do. Like, get away from me.
Can I tell you, that's how I feel when they try to keep me in the back, so I'm just throwing that out there. They're like, you're so good at defending. I'm like, okay, but I need to run faster, and I need practice with that, and I want to score some goals, so even back to like halfback is good. Please don't put me in fullbacks or goalie. Please don't do it. And it's like, every time they're like, yeah, but you're so, I'm like, no, I'm gonna not be good at it then. Like,
this is not my purpose in life.
Right, like, I'm meant to run. I'm
Yeah.
not still at it right now, but I'm meant to go. Like, I can bring this aggression forward and back. Like, anyway, love you guys, Liberty Gales out there, and now Hawaii healing. So, but yes, sorry.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go back to you closing that business. So specifically because
I didn't close it.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Sorry.
I retired. So I kept the salon open. So that was 2018, but I retired, and I made it like, and everybody was making fun of me, like, oh, you're retiring, you're like 30 years old. And I'm like, no. I need to make this clear. This chapter is closed. I'm never doing anyone's hair. I don't care if you're my best friend. I don't care if you're my mom. I don't care if you want to give me $500. I'm not ever touching another head of hair ever again. So I literally had a retirement party. Like, don't ever bother me again. I shaved my head.
Okay, yeah, that'll tell them.
I want hair away from me forever.
You got like V for Vendetta look going on.
Yeah, I did, and I was really serious about it. I just wanted it off of me,
right.
And but I continued owning the salon and building my business that I have now. Coaching is a completely different ballgame. Mm-hmm. It is very difficult. I think the statistics are 95% of coaches fail. 3% of the 5 that succeed make less than $30,000 a year, and the other 2% make more than six figures and higher. So it is a brutal field. Even though you see every Joe Schmo is a coach now, it is a very, very difficult field. And I was not prepared for
Yeah.
that. And even when I went to school, she did her best to prepare us with the business side and the marketing side. But it still doesn't prepare you for how difficult online is. It's
Yep.
just a different beast, totally. When you have physical interaction with people, they come in, you spend one-on-one time with them, you do something that makes them feel good, or you give them a service that's really excellent. It's so different than you running an ad on Facebook
Yeah.
and somebody being like, who the fuck's this? So it was the hair seemed to be, my ex-husband used to say everything you touch turns to gold, because I didn't even put this in there, but I had opened another business. I opened a consignment store.
Hmm.
Then we had opened a vape shop. So we had I had several businesses going at one time before
Yeah.
I left the salon, but I had closed those, and but then all of my attention needed to go into coaching, because
Yeah.
it's it's like this very weird career where you have to be excellent at what you do, but you also have to be excellent at writing, editing, video shooting, video editing, photography,
Yep.
website building, marketing, which is literally a 4-year degree in itself.
Yep.
It's crazy. So that was a really big reality check for me, because I retired from this thing that felt so easy. It was
Yeah.
like I was just really good at it, and then it was like I could just make money hand over fist, and then move to a platform that it was like you're talking to crickets.
Yep.
Nobody cares about what you're doing.
Yep. It's a lonely
So,
space too.
yeah, it's
When
difficult.
you're trying to make a difference, it's a lonely space.
Yeah. Yes, it's very lonely. And the internet is lonely because there's just so much out there. And it's hard to separate what's quality and what's not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, then throw in that I'm working with men in an
Mhm.
area that causes them extreme shame. They
Yep.
don't want to talk about, right? They don't want
Yep.
to talk about, definitely not with other men. And so the first few years were very difficult. I mean, I think my first year I did 60,000, which was shocking. I was like, well, this is great for a startup. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And then the next year I made 30,000, and I was like,
Mm.
oh, I'm not used to this kind of money. I don't
Yeah.
know what to do.
Yep.
Thankfully I still had the salon coming in, but
So that passive
um,
income.
yeah. But over the years, I was putting less and less into the salon,
Right.
and obviously getting less and less out, because
Right.
my heart wasn't in it, and I was hoping to sell it. So so then my business would grow. My business that I'm in now was growing more and more over the years, and now that's my main source of income, whereas the salon, it was like I was barely making anything off of it, but I ended up finally selling it last month. So
Oh,
that was
wow.
nice.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, it was nice.
congratulations.
Yeah, so it's finally like a completely closed chapter, and now and then at one point I bought a house, and I was Airbnb-ing, so that was another stream of passive income that I had coming in. But I sold the house, I sold the business, and now I've really simplified down to I just have my business, and I don't have all these other things I need to keep track of, because sometimes it's almost like you want to go
Oh.
really big, and then you hit that place. It's like you have all these big goals, and then you reach them, and then you're like, ooh, I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of want to walk it back and make things more simple. Some people don't. For me, it was just I got kind of tired of just being so much in the masculine.
Yeah.
So it was just going, 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 hustle, 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 school and work and building business and Airbnb, and then I got to pay my taxes, and then now I'm just okay, I've sold everything off. I have my business. I work with my clients, and I don't have all these extra things I need to keep track of, and it feels really, really nice.
Yeah. So you should definitely, I would suggest listening also to an episode I had with Kumu Michelle Manu, because she talks a lot about the masculine and the feminine as well, which I don't think a whole lot of people do or really understand, that we all have masculine and feminine, you know? So
Mm.
it's, and even when I got like the traditional tattoo here, you know, they were talking about how like the right is typically the masculine side, the left is usually the feminine. So for men, they'll tattoo on the left to balance the feminine with the masculine,
Yeah.
and then for women, they'll put it on the right side. So I think it's quite interesting that, you know, you're also talking about it because it's like you said, it has to do with like your sex life. It has to do with your life, with how you face the world and how you interact with it too. So being in touch with, I think, both of those sides, especially if you lean more towards one, in any capacity, then it's good. So I definitely suggest listening to her too.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
with your other businesses too, we kind of skipped over that, which is fine. And I do want to focus on your business now. Did you use, if you don't mind me asking, did you use the funds that you were getting from the salon to use to open those up, the consignment shop, the vape shop, or that was a
Yeah.
separate budget that you guys? Okay,
Nope.
all right,
Yep. So it was like the salon had such overflow that I could use that to kind of just start to open other things.
gotcha. So it did open up that, because that's one of the main things, right? Especially when opening up a business, it costs money. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people will go into debt to start, or they'll have it like you did. You were smart and you got the money first, which was amazing, and then you were able to build that. I personally had some, and then also like was going into debt. Now it's a little bit, it's kind of both, and it's growing. So a lot of people I talk to, like, again, it's like first 2 or 3 years, like you're just working your way out of debt into like just breaking even, and then you go into surplus, which is, again, it's different for everybody, but it's nice, you know. Okay, so how did your operations go? What was your detail in being able to open those things up?
Mm-hmm.
And it also costs to shut them down too sometimes. So
Mm-hmm.
which you don't realize, like, but that, so that was all, was the consignment shop and everything in New York, or that was in Florida?
No, they were all around the same area
In Florida.
because it's so cheap there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And then, but
Extremely cheap.
now your business is in New York City.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, let's go into that definitely more. How are you even able to? You said you have an office space, a brick and mortar in New York City as well?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, if you can just take us through that a little bit, like where that began and how, again, you were able to do that, if it was still same thing from selling the salon or just the profits that you made from that.
So it was separate. I'm a huge proponent of not borrowing money to open a
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
unless you are already very financially stable and you know that for a fact if the business goes under, it's not going to make a change in your life.
Yeah.
I always, in every business that I've opened, used the money that I already had and
Yeah.
I would start small. Like obviously the first salon was 600 square feet. I maximized that space to make as
Yeah.
much money as I could off of that space.
Smart.
And um, because the way I set it up was like I had 3 stations. But if I never found 2 other stylists, I would have no problem paying the rent, doing whatever I needed to do, buying product. And the same with the expansion. It was like, if everybody walked out today and I don't work at the salon anymore, can I pay for this?
Yeah.
Right? So I never wanted to ever put myself in a position where opening a business or keeping a business going was going to destroy my life, right? Like some people I've read or I've seen like people like pull out a second mortgage on their house and like, oh my God, I'm like, do not do that.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. There's so many options, especially nowadays, to make money that you don't need to put that much in. If you're opening a restaurant or something like that, that's a different story.
Right.
But that's a whole nother topic, you know?
Right.
So,
We're a small business, so it's a little bit different. I mean,
small
a
business.
restaurant can be too, but you know, still.
It can. Like my best friend opened his restaurant a year after I opened my salon.
Okay.
And his is here in New York City. And it was a very difficult path and it cost
Yeah.
him probably $1 million to do so. For a
Hmm.
tiny, I mean his restaurant was tiny.
Yep.
So it just depends. But you know what? He makes a lot of money and he's
Yeah.
expanded. He's finally expanded double the size in the last year and he makes like crazy money, you know? So if you have the money to put in and you know that it's not going to destroy your life, then fine. Now, with the coaching business, there's no money needed up front, you know?
Mm.
I mean, I
Right.
paid 10,000. My schooling was 10 grand, 12 grand, something like that. Um, so it's more, so that is a chunk of change, but it's more the investment of time, because there was no schooling. There's no men's studies, right? You don't
Right.
go to you go to college and there's women's studies, but there's no men's studies. So I had to
Yeah.
spend a significant amount of time working with men, interviewing men, understanding men, because there's nowhere to like train to figure out how to cure ED. You know,
Right.
it's like something I had to figure out. So it was more of a time thing.
Yeah.
And like my office, again, I needed something small, extremely private, like no windows, see through glass, all that stuff, right? Because guys want to feel like they're like protected when they're talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My office is extremely, extremely reasonable. I think I pay less than $800 a month in Manhattan for
Right.
my office. And it's like I think it's a large office. Like I fit a desk and a couch and a chair and a
Yeah.
bookshelf. I mean, I have a fireplace. It's like it's nice.
Yeah.
So that's like pretty much unheard of. And I searched for probably,
And downtown too. You're at Wall Street, right?
yeah, yeah, I'm right next to the stock exchange, and I searched for months really looking for a place, and I finally found one. And actually, when I the first year, it was only like 600 something for the office, which was crazy. I was like, sign
Yeah.
me up right now. um, but yeah, so and honestly, I don't really even need the office, because
Yeah.
most of my clients are remote. I have clients all over the world. Half of my clients are in Ireland. So, but the cool thing about like the company that I rent my office through, have you ever heard of Regis? It's a Regis building. So they're like a huge conglomerate. Like they're global, and they own
Yeah.
office buildings in every town pretty much in the whole world.
Yeah.
And so the cool thing about like my office is that it also includes like a free membership. It's included with my rent, that I can go to any office in the whole world and
Oh, that's awesome.
use their lounge or
Yeah.
use their office space. So like when I go to Ireland, I automatically have a place to see clients there.
That's
So it's
amazing.
it's amazing, and it's like a gorgeous office building over there. Yeah, so that's pretty much it as far as like that. But with the coaching, you could put like if you had the money and you were starting out, then like I would suggest that you would put money into a marketing team, because it's either money or it's time. When you have a business
Right.
like an online business, it's like you either grind for years trying to get an organic audience and you
Yeah.
make no money, and you don't put any money out either, right? Or you put a lot of money up front into ad spend,
Yeah.
and you break even for a little bit, and then you start to make money.
Yeah. And also knowing which ads to use. Like, I think I used Yelp at one point and it just was a money sucker for me personally. Some
Yeah.
people it works, but like I'm going to use the free side of that and then like look for another one because it's like the conversations you have seem to not be what ends up happening when you get charged. So you're like, we talked about something different. They're like, yeah, but actually there was this that was added. And I'm like, I'm gonna stop them. So it
Yeah.
didn't get me any clients, and it almost seemed like there was people like that were just working for them that were calling in just to get
Yeah.
those like clicks or whatever. And they're like, oh no no no, and I'm like, yeah yeah yeah, because it's
Yeah.
coming from like the same like region. So that was a little frustrating, is learning what and who to use.
Yeah. And I would say the biggest mistake I made in my business is I kept thinking that I had to do it all myself. So, like, what I would do is I kept investing a lot of money into business coaches. And they would just be like, "Well, you have to do this, 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 and this." And I wasn't good at those things, which is why I was hiring a business coach, right? But they were like, keeping you accountable. But I didn't need accountability. I just need somebody who is better at it than me. So I spend probably 20, 35, 45, somewhere in the realm of like maybe $50,000 on business coaches. I look back and I think if I spent $50,000 in Facebook ads, like, and I just kept getting burnt out because they're just like, keep teaching you the same crap. Like, you have to work really hard and you gotta, and I'm just like, this isn't working for me, you know? And so then I would go to like the next business coach because I'm like, well, maybe they just didn't know. But now I work with it's called a done for you consulting firm. They do everything. I don't need to know anything about anything. They literally market, they do your emails, they are in charge of getting you sales online or clients, like consult calls, whatever. They do everything. If you have a course, they set the whole thing up for you. You just give them the content, they organize, they set it up, they design it, and it was the best money I ever spent, and I wish that I had done it in the beginning because I didn't even know that those companies existed.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
called done for you
Done
consulting.
for you. Yeah, done for you marketing or done for you consulting. Yeah.
That was like another entrepreneur that I had on as well last season. She has been trying to get her website, like, her website's been there, but there's certain things that she needed fixed or wanted updated. And then she was trying to switch from like one, not platform, but like from like, let's just say it was like Outlook or Gmail, or she was trying to switch from one of those to the other. And it was held to try and do on your own, even though it seemed like if you follow like what it says on Google, like it's easy enough, but then there's so many back end things, and then you get like a consultation from somebody and they're trying to charge you like $2,000 or something, like
Insane.
some sort of extortion, you know. And then it's just like, but then she figured out Fiverr, which I totally forgot to
Yeah.
even say that because I didn't even think about it because that's not where my brain was or thinking of that, and I forgot that that's what they do. And she's like, did you know about this? I was like, I remember them, yes, but I never used them. But she used them and she loves them. So it's nice to, that's why I want to do this podcast, you know, like even just, there's so many gems that you shared too today for your own story and just your, you know, just how you're continuing to progress. But even just those like small references that could change, that changed your life and that like, or life in business, that could change theirs going forward too. So,
Yeah.
when was, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. When was Sexual Mastery NYC born? When was it created officially?
Well, it's just Justina Victoria now. I
Yeah.
started it as that, but just using my own name just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
2017
Okay.
was probably, I would say, the year that I started this. It's gone through so many, like, it's been an evolutionary process, you know.
Yeah.
Um, as coaching is, because coaching is very like, hair's kind of the same, but you always know what you're doing. You're always
Right.
doing hair, you know? And like maybe you just get really good at like balayage or something. But
Yeah.
but with coaching, it's like I'm a sex coach. Okay, well like what's your niche? You
Yeah.
know? Cuz like if you're just a sex coach, it's too vague. Like you have to solve a very specific problem.
Yeah.
And I was really resistant to the idea of solving things like erectile dysfunction and stuff when I first started out because I was like, that's a surface problem and I want to go like deep and I want to like work with masculine energy. And now I'm like, I love curing erectile dysfunction because
Yeah.
it's tangible and it's
Yeah.
so easy to fix and solve. And it's like, I have people come to me all the time and they're like, I want to work with masculine energy. I want to like be in my masculine. And I'm like, but do you have erectile dysfunction? Because that would be like fun. Like, so I'm completely flip flop.
But do you have that? Because I'd really like to work with that. What?
Really fun to work
Oh,
with.
I love that. They're like, that's not what I've heard before. That's well, you found me, so here we go.
Yeah, I'm a freaking weirdo. It's so
Be
funny.
prepared to be cured.
My friends call me the penis whisperer. They have all kinds of like names for me.
They call me, no, I'm kidding. No, that's amazing. And okay, so and also I think for you too, it like keeps you on your toes, and it's also a thing like it's different energy that you get. So you can't I'm sure you can get bored with things, but like you can't because you're dealing with different people, different energies, different issues, even if it's the same issues. So,
Mm-hmm.
have you found that? And also, sorry, I do want to go back to the marketing before we end, because I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a big thing. So, sorry, all over the place. So, how do you feel with your business in its current state? Where would you like to see it go? And yeah, just how are you feeling with it?
I'm really happy with it. At this point, I like had a near death experience in 2021. I almost died, and I was out of
Mhm.
work for 5 months.
Holy crap.
And now it's like I've had to shift things around because I was working way too hard. I had an autoimmune disease. I've since healed and I'm okay now, but um, I don't ever want to go back to the way that I used to work. Like when I was at the salon, I would work 12 hours a day and I would eat once a day and drink like a glass of water. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that's not normal, you know?
Right.
And even with this, it was like all day long. I gotta like figure like tinker with my website and I gotta like get on calls and you know. And then after I got sick and couldn't work at all, I really restructured my business completely. Now I have 2 clients a day, 5 days a week. I do not work on the weekends at
Yeah.
all, ever anymore. I used to work every single day.
Right.
I don't work on the weekends anymore. I don't take more than 10 clients a week. And I used to think like 10 clients, like, are you for real? Like that is, who do you think you are? Like you could just work that little, but
Right.
that's actually a lot of people to be dealing with on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
For
Especially
their
for what you
deepest,
do.
most intimate, darkest secrets. Um, and so I only do 2 clients a day. And then if I feel like it, I work on the passive income aspects of my business, like my courses and whatever else. My consulting team, Caroline Lewis, shout out because she is freaking amazing,
Hi,
does
Caroline.
literally everything else for me. Like I'm just like, hey, I want to make this thing, and she's like, great, just like record it and send it over, and we'll just sell it for you.
Oh, it's awesome.
So we're still in the beginning phases of that. Like we're building my audience and we're learning how to sell to that audience.
Sure.
So that's been a really interesting experience. Um, but yeah, I'm really happy because it's just like I feel like I have a lot of freedom. And like I said, most of my clients are remote. I have the couple few that won't do a session unless it's in the office. Um, but I can travel. Like I'm going to Iceland at the end of the month. And it's like, it doesn't matter where I am. I can do 2 clients a day. You know,
Mhm.
I can squeeze that in, you know, in whatever way is necessary and maintain my income. Even if I got sick again or whatever, I could still maintain
Mhm.
with that. So I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with how it is. And like one of my coaches, he calls it setting up a freedom business. And I love that idea. It's like you're not just like building a business, like you're building freedom. And that's what most entrepreneurs don't realize.
Yeah.
Because, like, and a lot of people who aren't entrepreneurs think, like, wow, you can set your own. And it's like, no, 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 no. Like, you never put it down.
Yeah.
Like, you're in
Nope.
the shower and you're like, you're like eating your dinner and you're like, oh, I got to write that down. You know, it
Yep.
never ends when you're an entrepreneur. But I love the idea of building a freedom business and something that supports your nervous system to thrive.
Yep.
You know, like that's so cool. So that's kind of where I'm at now is I want to keep the stress low and I want to help people in the best way that I can. And I'm trying to now sort of try like mass produce myself
Hmm.
in a way that I can help more people because I'm really I feel like I'm really never going to take on more than 10 clients a week.
Yeah.
In fact, I would love to have less than that because even at that, like even just with those 2 per day, there's some weeks like I'm getting ready to start my period, and this week I'm just like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
tired,
Yep.
you know. And it seems like it's not that much work, but I'm like, how the hell did I used to function 12 hours a day, literally 6 days a week?
Yep.
What was I doing that now I have like 2 clients a day, 5 days a week? And I'm like, I might call out today. I'm tired. Like, how did I function back then?
You're in our 20s. But I mean, it is that. But you know what it is too? It's like we'll always do what needs to be done. And we'll always flip that mentality when needs to be done. But it's just like
Yeah.
you've worked very hard throughout your life already, and you have put in that work. And again, you will put it in again if you need to, but right now you have worked so that you don't necessarily need to.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's the beautiful part about it. And you've gained that experience, which is incredible. And I'm still even kind of in between there. I'm 31 now, so I just turned 31 in September. But it's just that sometimes you just need those ideas or things to unlock in your brain to realize, like, sometimes less is more, but how do you
Yeah.
make that less super valuable to not only you but to those that you're sharing your energy and
Right.
expertise and knowledge with. So
And
but
it's
that,
much more quality
yes,
too, you
yes,
know? Yeah.
but that's amazing. And like I said, New York City is definitely not an easy place to run a business. I worked with and for a small business, the Martial Arts Academy, Anderson's Martial Arts Academy, that I worked with for many, many years. And, that's who I learned a lot from, both, in business and, but obviously like martial arts, and just there's so much value there. And they're always like, just like updating and progressing, and like they just moved spaces recently, so now they're up towards like Union Square, I think. So it's pretty incredible to see how they grow. And it's just a little hard to not separate, because I always want to be a part of that, because that's like, like your parents in some sort of way. It's just like who've taught you, and you've learned so much from the people that they've brought in. So but it's also like you have to be okay when it's just you by yourself, not always getting that feedback necessarily. And sometimes like really when you would
Yeah.
like to have it, and it's just like it's not even necessarily about you in that way. It's just like everybody's doing their own thing, and you are now either trusted or you've decided to do what you need to do. So just do it, like you
Yeah,
said.
it takes a lot of self-trust to
Yeah.
be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It definitely, and I felt that way about leaving the salon too, like selling the salon. It was like, oh, this was like my first baby.
Yeah.
It was like successful, like it
Yeah.
worked. And you're kind of like, I can't believe that worked.
Yeah. Yep.
It worked well. And to let it go, but it also just didn't feel aligned anymore, you know?
Yeah.
It was time to just be like, all right,
All right. You
I'm,
graduated.
I'm yeah, exactly. Make space for the next evolution of the business I'm in now. So,
And you always take everything with you that you've learned. Like, I think that's the important thing. It's just like, just because you have to leave something doesn't mean you leave the lessons behind, doesn't mean you don't appreciate what you've learned or been taught. And like, but you definitely, it's like you got to leave the nest. You got to like go on to what's next for you. And, again, you created that nest for yourself with your first business, and that was,
yeah.
incredible. And then you even have like, again, that kind of formula, which is scary because that doesn't actually necessarily work for everything, right? So yeah, so it's amazing that you can try what you've learned and see what works and what doesn't. I mean, that's what Jeet Kune Do, what I teach, is all about. It's like, I always say this, but absorbing what's useful and disregarding what is not, and making it
Right.
uniquely your own, is what Bruce had said. So we do it in every aspect of our life, especially as business owners.
Yeah.
So just yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience. And honestly, I really hope to have you on again, because I feel like there's so much left to even talk about, like with your business now. And I know we talked a lot about financials, but definitely want to talk about even more marketing and things like that. But I definitely want to be respectful of your time. And
Oh,
you
I'd
were
be happy
definitely,
to do it. I'd be happy to do it. I love talking about business stuff. I think it's fun. It's fascinating too, and to help other people because, I mean, like I said, back when I was like, I want to open a business, but I'm like, it's like the meme with all like the graphs and the numbers. You ever see
yeah,
that? It's like that's what you feel like. You're like, I don't, but that's not like a thing that regular people do. And it was so easy. At the end of the day, it was like I could literally open a business right now, like in
yeah,
my kitchen, in this
yep,
moment. In the next 10 minutes, I can open a business. It's so easy to do it,
yeah,
You just have to you just have to do it. And you realize, you look back and you were like, why did I wait so long to do that? That was like not even hard. Like it was more hard to like make a resume and go to like a bunch of places and try to get them to hire me than
yeah,
it was to just start my own business.
yeah. I mean, I think the quote unquote harder part behind it is all the legalities that are attached. But the literal opening, yeah, for sure. Like, here's your LLC, or here's your S corp, like whatever you want to go with. But
But
even that,
even
like,
that, yeah, it's like even that, it's like once you do it once, you just like, oh, okay.
yeah,
You're like, all right, no big deal.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
it's just like you just need to know. When you don't know, you're kind of like, what if I missed something? You know, you don't
Yep.
have like a list of things. If you had a list, it would be really simple.
And then the worst is when you choose one and then it's like, ooh, well, you probably would have been better off with this one. It's like, motherfucker, come on. Like, ugh. Like this is, I just wanted this to work. And then it's just like too much thinking, but it's just like, all right, well, I'm going to deal with this while I got it. But you just don't want, like, at least for mine, yours too, like the legal ramifications of it. So
Yeah.
that's, like I said, that's definitely a topic for the next time that we get to speak. And I hope that's soon because, like I said,
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
love, I love this momentum. But yes, so sorry, I know my brain's going all over. I'm like, want to talk about hurling. I want to talk about like
Yeah.
camogie. I want to talk about what I'm doing with it here, trying to make it universal with just one name, hurling. So but that's a different topic. So, Justina, I hope to see you out here. But before we even go, if there's one thing you want our listeners to take away today from our conversation, what would that be?
Really that if you are wanting to start a business, it's not. It feels like it's a big deal, but it's when you do it and you look back, you're just like, that was so not a big deal.
Mhm.
And you almost take it for granted. Like, so if you can think about being in an alternate universe where you're already a business owner and it was really simple and easy, because I feel like for me, there was no other option. I never gave myself another option.
Mhm.
It was like, I'm going to own a business, period. I don't know
Yep.
how I'm going to do it, but like my only future in my mind was that. So it's
Mhm.
like if you can get there in your mind and really hold that on a daily basis, just be like, this is non-negotiable, it will fall into place. And once it falls into place, you just look back and you go, geez, that was a lot easier than I ever thought. I didn't even need to write a business plan.
Mhm.
you know?
Yep. Especially if you're hard headed like us. It'll
Yeah.
happen. One way or another, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Yeah.
Awesome. And then Justina, lastly, where can people find you on like social media, websites, anything you can drop that in?
Yeah. My website needs to be updated, but it's justinavictoria.com and Instagram or YouTube. My Instagram is the.justina.victoria.
Mhm.
And my YouTube, I think, is just Justina Victoria.
Yeah, which I definitely saw. I mean, I think the website's beautiful, but yeah, updating I
Thank you.
know is always the thing. So definitely check her out, guys. We're gonna put it in the description as well, so be sure that you look out for that. And again, look out for another episode when we have Justina back. So Justina, thank you so so much again for being on here today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No worries, aloha.
A big mahalo to all you listeners out there for tuning into another episode of Warrior Women in the World of Entrepreneurship podcast. I'm so grateful that we've got another round of incredible warrior women for this season 2. And thank you so, so much for listening into season 1. If you have not already, please do so. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, basically any audio listening platform, and also YouTube because I have been posting them on there. So, guys, keep tuning in. And please let us know what you think. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and just also download them off of those audio platforms. It helps us so much and just keeping up the positivity. If you have anybody that you know who you would love to hear on this podcast, please send them our way and we'll get them on. Have a great day, everyone, and stay tuned for the next episode.